to our climate. And I felt like I wanted to make something out of my learnings and my degree. So I approached Shaylin and Charles, and they both invited me to be mentored and to work as an intern with IHV to our climate. And I felt like I wanted to make something. Sorry, I just got a back thing. But it's honestly incredible because I feel like, well, for example, we are brainstorming ways to work with different industries in decarbonizing them. So one of them is the travel industry, of course. So we found an exhibition, like a world travel market, where we found great interest in removing the carbon emissions that they have created. And we look forward to making partnerships with them. And there are many different ways to sort of deal with the cost as well, because a lot of companies don't want to work with carbon offsetting organizations because I guess it can be expensive. But we found ways in making it sort of optional or like out of the customer's interest to make those donations. So there's lots and lots of opportunity in that field. So that is what I'm working on this year.
So for everybody's
Yeah.
benefit, let's just update this a little bit. The exhibition was actually found by Sienna. Sienna found the exhibition, persuaded me to go along with her. And I was just blown away at what an amazing day we had and what terrific interest there was from whole countries in planting trees to offset their CO2 emissions. So Sienna has just been with us for a few weeks. If anybody else is interested in being an intern with us, volunteering with us, helping with us, she's been a great example of what's possible um, in just a short time, making a difference to really help stop global warming. So, Shailen, back over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to just add here that not only Sienna has been really dynamic and wonderful so far. She's on a 6-month internship. She has a week-by-week plan, and this is part of the youth wing of IAHV. It's called Youth 2030. And we are offering internships to youth who are high potential, and they have week-by-week plan about what they learn and what they deliver, as well as they get coaching and mentorship for certain skill sets, access to high-level conferences, and all of that. So this is an invitation. Some of you who are in touch with youth-led organizations or know such people, they are welcome. They will be screened and interviewed before they come into the process. So I'm now going to switch the topic to something sensational about COP29. We all know that the world is over-indexed on carbon as a buzzword, carbon emissions, carbon reduction, carbon removal. And now there is a new era in carbon trading that COP29 has enabled. Normally, when the world leaders are negotiating deals as negotiations as part of the climate COP conferences, it takes them several days. Normally, you will see agreements coming towards the end of the 14-day conference or the 13-day conference. This Baku conference, at the end of day one, pretty late in the night, the world leaders announced an agreement on Article 6. Now, what is Article 6? This started in the Paris Agreement in the COP conference in 2015. That's where the foundations were laid of this proposal. But since then, many other COP conferences in between, this was a sticking point. There was no agreement on it. And here on day one, we have an agreement. What is that? What does it mean to us, to businesses, and to governments? So this is there's something in the article called Article 6.2. I'm going to refer to basically two clauses. It's very long and complex, but 6.2 article says that countries who have nationally determined commitments, the NDCs for net zero, if they are well on their way to their goal, then they can sell their carbon emissions to another country that has a gap in their NDC commitments. So they are basically these units, when they are sold, these units are called internationally transferred mitigation outcomes, ITMOs. That's the name of the unit. So a country can sell this to another country, which would be a buyer. And there is a financial transaction behind it. The money, the funding that comes back can be used for capacity building, can be used to access technology in the seller's country. Okay. Now, this is a trading between different countries. There is another article which is of interest, is called, which was anticipated, Article 6.4. What this means is that there is a host country or the seller country which has a project on the ground that removes or reduces carbon emissions. It could be nature-based, it could be technology-enabled. This would be supervised by the United Nations Forum for Climate Change, UNFCCC. So this is the supervising body which will approve projects, which will register these projects, and they will also manage the registry of these projects. So they will provide the governance framework for such projects who become sellers. And so in this example, Charles, our IHV's project in Brazil, project in Uganda, they become eligible projects that must go on the registry of the UNFCCC. And then once it is there, it can generate revenue, and it is supervised by a credible international body. Yeah. So this is, I think, great news. Also, there is controversy like we have with most such agreements or news and new regulations. Some activists and organizations say having or enabling or formalizing so much of carbon trading platforms means some of the entities or businesses or countries will lose their focus on reducing emissions rather than buying carbon credits and fulfilling their gap. But there's another side to the coin, which means we are raising ambition of the climate goals by making this international. Some countries have more nature resources, or some countries have more finances, and vice versa. So that way, they are able to fast track carbon removals by bringing in more finance to it.
Shailen, thank you so much. This is a complicated subject. I hope people have understood it. You gave a really great explanation, so I hope this does help. Now, in terms of the objections, I've been working with our team for a couple of years now on the project in Brazil. So this piece of land that through my business partner, Rob Delart, we've been introduced to this piece of land. It's 413,000 hectares, which is actually about 1.5 times the size of the within the M25. Oh, the key man there. So basically, the opportunity is to protect this land and restore this land. The land is occupied by indigenous people, indigenous community. And if you're not aware, then worldwide, it's very much recognized that indigenous communities make the best stewards of rainforest and existing forests. So they've got an interest in protecting it. So it's very clear to me that in all the work we've been doing, if you take a 20-year period, why is the indigenous community there going to be prepared to continue to live in extreme poverty when the rest of us, everyone on this webinar, people in the UK, people in Baku, why are people going to be able to live a luxurious life, going around in cars, watching Netflix, enjoying themselves, when the people in the rainforest are living in extreme poverty? Which means that unless something is done, unless this money is transferred within a 20-year or so time frame, it's for me inevitable that these rainforests will be significantly cut down. So if you want to join in and help, there's a couple of things here. If you know people who've got a lot of money, interested businesses want to offset their emissions, talk to us about someone becoming an investor. And secondly, if you're interested in doing something yourself, you can plant trees with us through the QR code. So thank you, and back over to our roving editor, Shailen.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. I want to share so much more, but I think we said we would try and limit ourselves to 40 minutes because long webinars and too much screen time is also not healthy, neither green. I'm going to make one mention of something commendable by Africa Union. The African Developmental Bank, along with the development agency inside Africa and World Bank, they have partnered up for something called Acceleration of Africa for Adaptation. Their message, I attended a 1 hour long event full of experts. Their high level message was, we nearly missed the boat for mitigation. So their focus is on adaptation, which this entity called AAAP, African Adaptation and Acceleration Program for Partnerships, they have already mobilized $12.5 billion in local African projects in just 3.5 years. Their goal is to mobilize $25 billion, and these are community-led local projects. They could be about water harvesting, they could be about eco-farming, local initiatives by the community. And they are determined. When they announced this 3.5 years ago, most people said this is a crazy ambition. $25 billion in 5 years is impossible. But they are well on their way to deliver it. And I think this is great news also for IHV projects, other local initiatives dealing with the youth and the local communities. The opportunity is huge. So I'm going to cut short here. It was a long event, and there is so much I learned personally. My understanding of what all we need to get funding for a project has transformed. We don't need too much of planning. We need to have a project that is bankable. The message from these funders, the finance organizations, is that you don't need to be a developed project or a stage 5 project. You start. They will also give us consultancy. I think this is great. Yeah, I'm going to, with gratitude, bring in Mr. Kanan Mamadov, who's Art of Living Azerbaijan's national coordinator and director, and he has been great. I would like to invite him to speak something and say what the organization is doing, what he is personally doing, what has happened in the last 1 year. Here's Kanan.
Oh, sorry, it needs to be much louder, Shailen.
Louder.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, speak up loud.
It's the first time happening this kind of event here, and we saw that there are 72,000 registrations for this COP29 from more than 160 countries, and 70 prime ministers and presidents came here for inauguration. And we are also Art of Living. We are collaborating with our government, and especially last 3 months, we had with Ministry of Natural Resources and Ecology. We had a program for youth regarding the mental health. And we started working with universities, and we are mostly focusing on mental health here, and also mental health and also about environment protection. It's nice to be here, and we have such kind of expert silent here, and he's so lovely. Like, we are participating together. Like, he's doing everything. I'm just observing how he's nicely doing all these meetings.
Thank you. That's very kind of you, and thank you for sharing that. The last thing I would like to show you is obviously where we are, because this webinar is all about COP29. I am standing in front of IGAD, Intergovernmental Authority on Development. It's really nice, those of us who are involved with projects, to look it up. Their mantra is peace, prosperity, and regional integration. We have an event going on here. The title of the event reads as Green Climate Technology, Local Innovation and Youth Employment, Opportunities and Challenges in Africa. I think it's a very, very relevant topic.
Shailen, thank you so much. So big thank you to everybody. Thank you, Gary, for organizing the technology of this. Thank you, Sienna, for joining us and talking to us about your perspective. Huge thank you to Shailen for all of this, and a big thank you to all of our audience here. Now, Shailen, if you have to go, we can still stay on the line and we can take questions from the audience if you need to go. It's up to you. Do you want to stay and take some questions, or do you need to go?
I can stay. I can take questions if they are for me.
Okay.
I can stay for about 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay, so turning to everyone online now, as I say, what we've been emphasizing here is the importance of nature-based solutions, planting trees. Do please think about taking a look at the QR code here to look at planting some trees for yourself, for your business. We're already offsetting trees for businesses, and Gary is one of our clients for this. So if you'd like to talk about that with us, do make contact with me direct. And so now going over to questions. Would anybody like to put their hand up and ask a question, virtual hand or their real hand? Okay. Anybody got any questions? Julia, you're online. Would you like to ask a question?
I was just wondering how to be sure about that the countries and their plans, that they are like very valid and there's not the the idea of making an impression that they really want to change something in their country regarding environment, but really taking action. And so it's not superficial, really.
Shaylin, would you like to take that one?
I did not catch the question.
Okay, I'll take an answer to that. Julia, the UNFCCC organization that Shaylin has mentioned have put in place since 2015, have put in place huge plans to look at and monitor these plans. To be honest, the problem is that the governments of the world are not doing enough. They are not doing enough to put the plans together, and hence the UNFCCC, the UN, Antonio Guterres keep saying that the governments are not doing enough. I think what we can see here, what Shaylin has shown us just here, is that countries are doing more. It's great to see Turkey doing a lot here because they're very much coming from behind. There is an element of greenwashing in your question, Julia. There's been big concern about greenwashing. I think that there's so much awareness of it now that I think businesses are doing much less in the way of greenwashing. But we are still, as I said at the beginning, we are still way behind in terms of targets. And from Glasgow, where we were, COP26 in Glasgow, I really feel that we have moved from a situation of hope there to a situation now in 2024, a situation of fear of extreme climate change. So everything we can do, and I look around at what people are doing in the world. So some amazing people on the call here who are taking amazing action. Gary is promoting the message to his business contacts. Shaylin has been doing so much to plant the trees for us over many years, as well as doing a much else work with IHV. Sienna's just joined us, already has made an impact, and she's getting excited with the prospects of what's possible with all of these countries. And Verna's been working for years on helping the world become a better place. If you want to join in and make a difference as well, I'm sure many of you on the call already are doing things yourself, but if you'd like to do something specifically with stopping climate change and planting trees, do make contact with any of our team here you've heard from today. Do make contact with us. We'd really be pleased to have you on board. The opportunity of making a difference is huge. We've gone from nowhere to planting the best part of 2 million trees. So those trees, very simply, are creating thousands of jobs for people in extreme poverty, which I'm really pleased about, as well as restoring nature and removing CO2. Everyone has got the capability to do this in yourselves. We've done it here. You can do it too. Do please join us. Shaylin, back over to you.
I'd like to compliment, your answer, add to it, Charles, and this is for Julia, everyone actually. I was quite positively, so this is my third COP attendance, the climate conference. The first one filled me with hope. When I looked at the amount of innovation, the amount of technology and inspiration that's coming forward, that's being displayed, partnerships being struck, I saw people who are not even exhibiting, but they are doing micro solar farms across Europe and Eastern Europe. The countries, when we talk of countries, Charles, I'd like to challenge you when you make a statement saying countries are not doing enough. Yeah. It has truth to some degree, but different countries are operating at different levels to mitigate how to fight global warming. India, for example, uh, I was born and brought up there. It may be controversial for some of my friends when I make such statements, but I am not shy of sharing what's in my mind. If India has been missing from the COP conferences, every country, even from Pacific Islands, have pavilions. India sends delegations. They do private meetings, but they do not have a pavilion. They do not have a message. They do not showcase anything. They do not engage with other countries or the audience and the visitors and the delegates. It's it's stunning. Yeah, I'm shocked at that. But when I give a positive example, the government of Japan is working with countries overseas, sharing not just finance, sharing their planning expertise that I talked about in case of Turkey, where I am currently in the Singapore pavilion. They're leading the way in talking about carbon markets. They were the ones who talked about Article 6 yesterday, and they are really unfolding it for everyone to understand what carbon reduction, carbon avoidance, and carbon markets mean, and what to expect. What are the opportunities from the Article 6? There were challenges and opportunities. They're bringing this conversation to the table, and this is not about Singapore. They are creating carbon markets, they are creating carbon sellers in Nigeria, in Ghana, by funding projects for them. You see what is happening here? They are not just giving consultancy or showing a fancy pavilion at an international conference. They are actually at the grassroots creating supply of the product, quality, and they're talking of how high quality the product on the ground, the carbon projects are, carbon removal projects. So there are countries who are leading the way. Unfortunately, you know, we also have political cycles such as what happened in the US, and I think somebody talked about it a little bit earlier. Um, we know, what Trump's mindset and policy and how right of the front it is. So it's going to bring in challenges, but the global conversation and the regulation is coming thick and fast. It's not going to be easy even for him. So if USA is not contributing as much as it should, there are countries around the world who are really taking the lead on it. And the country and the population size does not need to be big. For example, Japan and Singapore are really out of their league, another
Okay.
league.
Okay, I'm going to make a comment here, and then let's bring in Gary. Gary's been with us on all four of these series of webinars. I think it's really great, Shailen, that you are picking up the excitement and inspirational opportunity of what's possible in Baku. That's amazing. But overall, the reality is that the numbers are very poor. There's more CO2 emissions every year. The UN target of massively cutting CO2 emissions by 2030 is absolutely going to be missed. We're already at 1.5 degrees, and huge countries are not doing enough. The US has tried to do more after Trump. China arguably is not doing enough. You're making the case for India. I can make an opposite case for India not doing enough. But anyway, so look, there's so much to be done. If you'd like to join us and help, you'd like to plant some trees, that'd be amazing. But Gary, what's your perspective on this, please? Gary, you're muted.
I'm not a thought leader as you guys are. I'm just at the grassroots. I own a business, trying to do my bit as a dad, as a consumer, as a business. And I think if everyone did their bit, it saddens me when I hear America's stance on this, for sure. But look, I've come along on this journey and I've so enjoyed every moment. I've loved Shailen's enthusiasm over there. Roving reporter, he's been brilliant. Sienna, oh my God, you're going to change the world. I can see a Nobel Prize for you one day. So sitting here as just a grassroots individual, I'm so inspired by you all, very much so. My children blame me and my age group for what's happened here. So I feel very responsible for being part of the solution, and I don't want to be part of the problem. So I don't know if that helps, but I leave it over to you, thought leaders.
Perfect. Gary, I'm so pleased that your children are blaming you. They're clearly tuned into what's going on. I think that, older people need to take a lot of blame, but also older people have also got the resources and they've got the effort and time to help. So I really like your comment, everyone to do their bit. If everyone did their bit, then we'd have a very, very different world than we have today. So please do your bit. And with all of this, tell all the people you're talking to, tell everyone around you what's going on, the enthusiasm of Shaylin, the need to do something, the fact that Gary and other people his age are not doing enough, and the opportunity to do your bit and plant some trees. Tell everyone this story. Thank you so much. Shaylin, if you want to give us the final words.
We have a policy of who joins last or late says the last word. So somebody volunteers to make the last comment.
Perhaps India, Nabi.
If not, I'm happy to step in.
Sorry
and say that
yeah.
I'm happy to step in and say everyone is impacted and everyone should partake in the climate issues. When information technology revolution started in the 1990s, we had the emails. It took all of us a few years to adopt the emails. Then came the mobile phone, and then came the smartphone. It took us many years, but these were all conveniences. What we are seeing with climate change and the regulations, it's not coming to us as conveniences. It's coming to us as a disruption and with a lot of intensity. So every one of us must participate in it. And let's also upskill ourselves. Let's also have more conversations and work together.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our audience here for joining us. There will be replays available. Thank you so much to everybody, and thank you particularly to Shaylin, not only for being our lead presenter today, but also for making the effort to go from London to Baku, take holidays, spend time there, time and effort to make all this possible. So thank you so much, particularly to Shaylin. Thank you, everybody.
It was an honor. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.